So, Hamish, give us a bit of an update on what's happening out in the market at the moment.
Sure, David. It's an interesting time on the market in as much that there's sort of three things popping in my head when you ask that question. One is the interest or desire for rent rolls in specific locations has increased dramatically in. I've always had really strong interest in Wellington, and then Christchurch, and then Western East Auckland. Those sort of four locations have always had strong interest, but they're quite an unusual sort of high at the moment. I've got a lack of listings in those areas. Not for want of trying. I've been, but a vendor, if they're wanting to sell, they're ready to, when they're ready to sell, they'll let you know and actively pursue listing and then taking to market. We've sold a couple in Wellington recently that went or sold at very good high, strong multipliers, good strong buyers as well. So that's one. Number two is we're seeing a really strong or new buyer coming through. I know that's a bit of a broad sort of comment, but we're seeing people from other industries. So, for example, I had recently a 1 million plus cash offer on a book or a rent roll from somebody from a Kiwi, a professional New Zealander that's working overseas, that's wanting to return home. Completely different market or completely different industry that they're in. But understands that property management businesses have been very strong through the COVID period, or COVID lockdown period, I should say. We're still in the COVID period, I guess. We have had a couple go under contract just recently from people. One was from an employee within the industry, and the other one was from somebody from a completely different industry down on the South Island somewhere. Professionals that have come through and wanting to buy a property management business and move in several cases from employment or middle management into property management sector and business ownership. The third thing which I'm seeing, and I've actually purposely been out to 4 different cities in the last 4 weeks and had multiple appointments. I've seen between 35 and 40 principals in person this last month, just to get a bit of a feel for the market out there. And I've done some 9 or 10 listing appraisals, which is an unusually high amount. But the general feedback after seeing people, so they're just waiting to see what happens, and there was a bit of that at the start of the COVID lockdown. We're just waiting to see what happens. But the reality is that books that are listing are, for the most part, moving, and they're moving a bit slower because of the banks and finance, and but really the interest levels, even though the buyers that I have registered, usually I'm dealing with, let's say I'm dealing with 50% of my normal buyer inquiry, but that 50% is the desire has increased dramatically. A lot of sales principals that don't have rent rolls or have very small rent rolls wanting to increase their cash flow. That's across the country. It's an interesting time. I'm curious to see what's going to occur in the next sort of quarter. So if you're thinking about selling or wanting to sell, by all means let us know. We're happy to do there's no cost involved with getting a market assessment of your book or your rent roll. There's no need to commit to a sale, so to speak. But the market's strong for the high majority of the country in terms of acquisitions at the moment. So yeah.